Well, greetings and thanks for joining us on another episode of Lightbulb Moments, episode number 139. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to check out past episodes and also watch for the podcast of Lightbulb Moments. I'm Tom Kuhn. I'm host and curator of Lightbulb Moments. What is a lightbulb moment? Well, to me, it's a moment of sudden realization, enlightenment, or inspiration. And we know that you can't start a fire without a spark, so we're always looking for light bulb moments. Okay, at Qnity here, we're here to help you go from confusing, overwhelmed, or complicated to a simpler path towards greater prosperity. And to prosper, remember to manage your ATM, the three currencies we have in life: attention, time, and money. Thanks for spending your precious time with us today, whether you're live or listen to the podcast or watching the YouTube. We're just thrilled you're with us. And we do love hearing from you. Submit a light bulb moment of your own on our website. Let us know if you have someone in mind for a guest. And today, in a little bit, we'll be getting to Leon Alexander. His name accidentally got whited out there, so it's not Alexander, it's Leon Alexander. Shame on me on that one. Check out past episodes of Lightbulb Moments. Our last guests were Daniel Johnson and Hannah Craik, and they really were going through the new green beauty community. Definitely check out that episode. We also had John DeJulius several weeks ago. Always love connecting with John. Also recent guest, another great episode was with Dr. Melissa Kubiak, a regular member of our community and a client who really talked quite a bit about MediSpa trends, risks, opportunities, etc. Also, I want to highlight Kelly Eilers, did a great segment on marketing. And then, of course, Roderick Samuels, who is a frequent guest for ours, very passionate gentleman and a good friend. A great segment with him. And some of the topics that are recurring topics that we've addressed this year and will continue to address next year is succession planning. A wave of businesses moving into transition over the next decade, and we like to stay on the cutting edge. So certainly it's a topic we cover frequently. Also, other things just to be aware of, including calendar. Be sure to check out Erin's Money O2 episodes. She's got some fantastic interviews. I don't know where she finds these guests, but really powerful stories. And then upcoming dates, we have a whole cluster of events happening in Austin, Texas on February 19th through the 20th. We're going to have an execution workshop, our new growth workshop, which has been substantially updated, and this will be the first time that it'll be delivered, February 18th. And then I'll be doing a succession workshop also at the same time down in Austin, Texas on that key 3-day period in February. And then we have Money SBO coming up in April. You can check our calendar for upcoming workshops. Of course, we have the signature event of Qnity, the Phil, coming up in Austin, Texas, May 19th and 21. We are into early bird registration for a little bit longer, so you might want to jump in on that. Perhaps a member of our team will put some details in the chat, but we do have early bird that either is in effect or is going to expire soon. Just heads up on that. And then we're also pleased to be involved in a couple events here. Serious Business is coming up in January, January 20th through the 22nd. We have both Jared Sanders, who is actually of Lightheart Sanders, who is a sponsor of this Lightbulb Moments. He's going to do a collaboration with Candice Gliotto on a topic called the Reluctant CFO. So they're going to be at Serious Business, a dynamic duo. They've been doing a lot of preparation. It's going to be a really great and unique session. For those of you that are the CFO, don't know if you're the CFO, you're the reluctant CFO, you don't want to miss this session. And Erin Kuhn Bensali, I have to admit, I'm just getting used to adding the Bensali at the end. That is her new legal name. But Erin Kuhn Bensali will also be doing a Serious Business breakout. Hers is going to be longer. It's going to be a full workshop on financial wellness. I'm going to be over in Ireland coming up in a couple of weeks at the Forest Convention. And the other calendar thing that we want you to be sensitive to is we are starting to curate our Inner Circles, which is a curated peer group, essentially a mastermind group that really matches you and creates great structure to address a very common thing we see in business, and that is feeling alone. Oftentimes, if you're at the top or near the top, you can feel alone, no longer with the circle. Also, 99% of your success comes from who you hang with. So it's really being from unintentional to very intentional in who you spend time with. And then the final thing that this really addresses is the real-time need to just stay connected with other peers. So we're super excited about launching this new circle, several circles at the same time, starting with some multi-location circles for owners, GMs, emerging leaders, possibly a marketing group. We're also going to be doing for single location owners and managers. And then I will personally be doing a succession group that's by invitation, apply. Actually, all of these are on an apply basis, but it's going to be a small succession group and a small CFO group. So this is really a breakthrough in terms of our offering, and it really builds upon over 13 years of creating a curated peer group, also known as 2 to 10, as well as what we learned at 2 to 10. So essentially, it's duplicating a lot of the magic that occurs when people connect with each other. So it happens throughout the year. My light bulb moment this week is I think it's just really getting myself ready to summarize the year between Christmas and New Year's. And then after New Year's, I move into a state where I start to really strategically and emotionally unpack the accomplishments of the year. And all of you have had many, many accomplishments this year. And it's very easy to go to what we didn't do, but certainly spend some time looking at what you did do this year. And my guess is that you made some quantum leaps in some areas. Some other areas you had some losses that can be reframed as lessons. But this is really the time to reflect and get ready to get closure on 2023. Begin to create much greater clarity in about 2024, which ultimately leads to a very successful kickoff to the year. So with that, I'm going to invite Alexander, also known as Leon Alexander, to the mic. Good morning. How are you, Leon?
Good morning, Tom. Thank you for inviting me.
It's great to have you. You're a repeat guest, and I've been wanting to get you back on in a while. And for those of you that don't know you, you are from Eurisko Design, and give us in like 30 seconds what you do there.
Well, basically, we design space a little different. We don't design it as a salon. We design it around the emotions of the consumer, accommodating the functionality of service. So what we have is an evolving consumer, and we have to evolve the design accordingly to their needs. So that's a quick nutshell of what we do.
All right, perfect. So you're the go-to for many when they're looking at updating their space, opening a location, expanding. So you're a go-to, and you have a list of topics that you frequently talk about, and they're very good ones: trends in the industry and consumer insights, and there's a lot of things that you frequently speak on. And we know that you're very much a champion for space and the experience by the consumer, raising revenue per foot. I want to get a little more gritty with you today, because I think there's some pieces of knowledge that you kind of take for granted that a lot of members of our community don't take for granted. And that would be some very almost data-driven type trends on space. Ready to go there?
Absolutely.
So my first question has to do with the overall square footage in a salon compared to 5 years ago. Has it gone up, down, or stayed the same? And if you could share like just approximate kind of average square foot in the past versus what you might recommend today, that would be great.
So I think a benchmark would be the millennium. 23 years ago, we were designing space that was full service: cut, color, retail, spa, manicure, pedicure. the average square foot was about 3,500 to 4,000 square feet. Average. Of course, there were smaller and larger ones. I noticed a gradual change going up to another benchmark, which was COVID. Since COVID, we've noticed the average being about 2,500 being a sweet spot. And the services have been cut color retail. There's been a diminish in spa, manicure, and pedicure. So the goal for a designer is to maximize the potential of that business, the potential of that square foot. And if you have 1,500 square feet or you have 5,000 square feet, the goal's still the same. You have to maximize the potential from a design point of view. That means putting in services that give you the greatest return on investment. Cut, color, retail have been historically the highest ticket returns.
Let's stay there. Let's stay there
Yeah,
just
go
a
ahead.
second, okay? Because I'm unpacking two things you said there. One is the overall square footage. The other is the usage of the space. So in general, is it fair to say 3,500 down to 2,500 today?
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. It's dropped by that, but they're more productive.
Yeah,
Overheads less, they're more productive in 25. The salon looks busy. Some 35, 4,000 square feet that we designed or anyone designed 25 years ago have pockets and times where the salon doesn't look full.
yeah.
And
So then, kind of staying with this again, we stay away from revenue per foot and mix of business. So, if you were opening a salon today, or you had a family member, a dear friend, what square footage would you recommend? Forget about
25,
mixes. You'd recommend.
2,500 absolutely is a sweet spot.
All right, so I love pinning you down to that, and I have frequently felt that I also think of that number too, but I have no data. This is really from me being a former salon owner and just working with clients. But I do believe that the days of those 3,500, 5,000, 8,000 square foot businesses, while there will be exceptions, there's market leaders that make it happen. The norm is going to be more like 2,500.
Right.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Let's unpack a mix of business which you introduced. So, supplemental trend that really ties very closely to this is a change in the configuration of the space, which, as you said, it's really, it's really removing a lot of the spa related services, which, by the way, that's not to suggest that the spa industry is not growing. It is. I mean, spa industry has some great metrics to it. It is that you're finding that for many, the mix of salon and spa isn't working.
If you run a spa, then I think it's working well. If you piggyback a spa on like a day spa onto understanding the salon, not so much.
Yeah.
I think a lot of salon owners have realized that there's more ways if they introduce more color, they introduce more retail, if they introduce more cutting areas, or even alternative ways of making income from that business, then the fundamental goal is to maximize the profitability of that business, maximize the profitability of the retail area and every segment within it. That's from a design point of view, that's the fundamental goal.
That's
It's
pretty
not,
much, yeah, that's
it's
pretty,
not sales, it's profit.
yeah. Let's unpack the metric of revenue per foot in a moment here, okay?
Mhm.
And just as a spoiler alert to listeners that we're going to have a future guest that really talks about how to maximize your space with spa. We've got an expert. I'm not going to reveal the name yet, but someone's going to come on and say, okay, if you do have spa or are thinking of have spa within your salon, here's the right way to do it. So, back to the point that I think is a general rule of thumb, 2,500 square foot, focusing more on core services. And if it's a salon, it's cutting in color. If it's a spa, it's going to be aesthetics and massage, whatever. So now our let's go to revenue per foot for a moment. And we created some benchmarks around that several years ago over a multi-year process by actually collecting information, through studies we've done, and have metrics upon revenue per square foot. It's not a hard calculation. You know, you compare the beauty industry to another industry, and I thought that was a really interesting comparison. The difference between revenue per foot, for example, in a restaurant and a salon. But let's first of all look at some metrics. Do you have any metrics you like to look at for revenue per square foot for a salon, like a target?
I don't have a target because obviously what we're looking at is I'm dealing nationally, and revenue square foot in Alabama might be different to California or New York.
Yeah.
What I look at is I look at the demographics, I look at the space, I look at whether it's high street or destination. I look at the predominance of services. So then I individually help that person maximize the potential of that area. So as you rightly say, there are metrics. I mean, if you look at it, say a 2,000 square foot location, what is the occupancy? What's the average ticket? You can calculate that. But I think what I'm looking at now is adding additional revenue to the salon other than core businesses in some areas.
Yeah, let's come back.
Yeah.
Let's come back to that in a moment. Let's stay with revenue per foot for a moment. So do you have a kind of a guideline of, there's going to be regional differences, there's going to be price point differences, but as far as general rules of thumb, because we have some from our study. Maybe I'll go there first. What we found is that we actually broke it down in quartiles and had a pretty good sample size on this. And the upper quartile, if my memory serves me right, and I can do this in a follow-up post, but I believe, well, first of all, if you get to 1,000 per square foot, you're an outlier. You're very, very high. I think the upper quartile was somewhere between $750 to $800 to 1,000 plus would be the upper quartile. Found the average being around $450 to $500 average. Do you want to piggyback on any metrics that you have in revenue per foot?
The ones that I've seen have been around about 800.
Yeah.
So, we've seen some less and we've seen some slightly more. I haven't seen many over 1,000.
Yeah.
But 800. And I'm not talking about the salons at 4,000 or 5,000 square feet, because there's a lot of wasted space today in some of those salons.
Yeah.
Particularly in the spa area. But in salons that are kind of 2,500, I would be expecting 800 from a design point of view, minimum 800 square foot.
Yeah. So then let's just see here. So if you're 2,500 square feet and you have 800 per foot, we're looking at $2 million.
Yeah. So that should be a goal for any business opening with that size and those overheads, $2 million. Okay. And there's ways of doing that in today, in the future.
Yeah. And there's a ton of different ways you can do it. And it's, through the experience, it's through a lot of stuff. I'm going to have you share a little bit on fixtures. It's, certain things that fit within a salon that are specialty areas like extensions and hair loss. And, there's also a lot of retail opportunities, but let's move away from the metrics and that kind of stuff over to smart fixtures. So, again, you're the expert when it comes to space. You're doing build outs for many of the top salons in the US, and you also get to see what's coming and what's implemented. So let's talk a little bit about some smart fixtures. And I know there's 3 in mind right off the bat. So first of all, what is a smart fixture, like a mirror?
So I mentioned the goal of any designer is to maximize potential of the business. And one of those goals is technology is definitely an important facet in today and the future. 2 or 3 design ideas that will help the profitability certainly is to build styling stations with smart mirrors. And what I mean by that is that a mirror built into the styling station that has, it scans your avatar and superimposes it onto that screen. You can then choose any color you want before you have it colored, because it superimposes that color. It additionally brings up all the products you've used, the stylist has used on you in that service. And it shows the features, the benefits, and how to apply it, and what other products link to that product. So you're bringing the products up while they're in the chair. So sales of retail is not just in the retail area, it's in the chair. It also has, yeah.
So on that point, so are you saying like on the mirror, you can kind of physically see what the products are?
Absolutely. You can see yourself, you can see the products, you can see the color, you can see your profile of history, you can see your credit card is loaded, so you don't even need to leave.
All of this appears on the mirror.
All this appears on the screen.
All right, so here's what it won't do. It can't be like, this is for maybe a future era, but it can't be like me sitting in front of their mirror on the wall, allow Tom to grow a little bit more hair. We're not at that point yet, are we?
We're not at that point, but you can see yourself with more hair. So you can superimpose it, but unfortunately, you won't walk out with more hair.
So sorry, I'm sitting in the chair. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm the client, and you know, I'm looking at what's projected in front of me, which is it's a mirror.
Yes.
And I'm sure that the stylist uses some remote or something like that. Okay. So stylist behind me or next to me, wherever is toggling over, and it's okay. All right, here's Tom. We'll use Michelle instead. Okay, here's Michelle, and this is what it looked like for Michelle to have purple hair. You know, she is a Vikings fan, so I could see that. So you can kind of do that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, Michelle, you know, last time you were in here, you bought XYZ. 2 times ago, you bought that. Looks like you probably need a refill. And that also appears on the mirror.
Yeah, a little different is when you finish the service, it's prudent to bring the products you've used to achieve that service.
Yep.
If the service provider says, these are the products I used on you to achieve that look, let me show you how you use them and how to apply them. And it brings up those products. It shows the features of the products. It shows what links to it. And the customer, by voice activation, says, I'll take these today while she's in the chair.
Okay. So I want to get to the next technology, but 2 more questions on this. Number 1 is, I'm assuming the visibility on the mirror is narrow, so it's only the client and the stylist can view it, and someone, you know, at the chair next to you or walking by, it has to be somewhat personal. And
it is. I mean, as far as credit card, the credit card numbers don't come up.
Sure.
Your credit card is already in the system. So the only thing that's personal is that. But no, you're literally like you would in a normal salon. You could see yourself in the mirror. You see exactly that only the consumer can see what's going on.
Okay, so my next question has to do with a question that's going to be in a lot of people's mind, is how much does this cost? And you know, so if I look at a standard mirror, it's going to be X. If I look at a smart mirror, it's going to be Y. And you know, I don't want to pin you down on this, Leon, but if you can give us a range, you know.
Now, there's 3 components: the styling station, which doesn't change in price, the hardware, which is the smart mirror. Those prices are coming down and down. Like whenever a new television or thing comes out, the price comes down. The software, uploading the software, keeping that up to date is probably the most expensive thing. The hardware and the stations are not expensive. So that all the products you use on them needs to be loaded into that system. And of course, periodically, you might change brands, you might have new products that needs updating. So that's the key. It's loading the software.
So it might be smart technology, a smart mirror, but it still depends on humans to manage the system, make sure the system's updated and all of that.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a tool that enhances more retail sales. And I'll give you a statistic. 2 years ago, I was in the Amazon salon in London, and I saw the system operating. And I asked, what % of consumers actually walk out from the chair and purchase. 72% purchase. 72%.
Wow.
There is no desk because you pay from the chair.
So if I'm in a, let's assume I'm on board with this and it's a normal size mirror and all of that. I mean, is this affordable for me as a salon owner to bring in these kind of mirrors? I mean, is the pricing getting to that point?
I think the market will be coming down and down and down.
Okay.
The cost of smart mirrors and stations is not expensive.
Okay,
The cost of managing the software and updating that
got that.
depends.
All right, let's go to another technology type matter that directly relates to space, and that has to do with music.
Okay.
Share with us a little bit about that, please.
So whenever I go to any salon, I just come back from a tour of different salons. I see a cross section of people from mature to young people.
Yeah.
I see a track of music. How could one track of music be appropriate for a cross section of people? Now what we have is a tile which is 2 feet by 2 feet above the styling station that is voice activated. So the consumer can say classical music, and within that 2 foot by 2 foot square, classical music plays. If you stand outside of that, it's silent. The next consumer can say, well, I want jazz. And the next consumer say, I've got a headache. I don't want any music today. So that's in alignment with personal experiences that we all strive to give our consumers.
So
that is the future.
This particular technology, is this moving into the affordable range, or is this still something that, because you need that number personalized, you need one for each station?
Well, you need one for each station, yes. But it's a 2 by 2, and it's a company that does this, and the prices have come down over the last 2 years.
Okay.
The idea I mentioned, is that in the Guggenheim, you stand in front of a piece of art on a circle and it tells you about that art. Yeah. You stand outside, it's silent.
It's very cool.
So I got the idea, why not bring that into salons?
Let's talk about another technology that isn't actually related to a piece of equipment or the infrastructure, but it has to do with a tool.
Yes.
Talk about that.
So what's available now in Japan and in Germany and coming over here is intelligent brushes. Intelligent brushes are, you brush your hair and it tells the protein content, the tensile strength, and the elasticity of the hair. It sends it to an app on your phone, the consumer's phone. And from a business point of view, you're selling treatments appropriate to what this reading tells you. So the technology is called intelligent brushes, and it's just an incredible tool. We're all looking for ways to support the consumer and build our businesses. And that's definitely a tool that will help.
Yeah, I don't think we're ready for some of the technologies. They're just kind of blow you away in terms of even like smart wet products, a lot is coming. So, and from a space standpoint, then, what else are you seeing as being some trends? And be specific, again, we know the experience and personalization is really important. We know increasing revenue per foot is important. We know adding services, what would be some other tangible trends you might see in space design?
So what we've noticed over the last several years is a pioneering section of the industry that have realized that the maximum they can do on their square footage is just put their prices up. So they're bringing in services like, we've done one with a champagne bar. We've done one with a cafe. We've done one with a coffee bar. We've done a salon that brought in a retail other than wet products, shampoo. When you go to CVS, which is a pharmacy, only 32% of what CVS sell is pharmacy. They sell other things. When you go to a bank now, Capital One has cafes. Starbucks only 13.3% of Starbucks is coffee. They do other things. So why are salons only selling wet products? Why are they only doing those services? The fundamental goal for any business, you see, I don't see people owning, I don't think we design salons. I think we design businesses that happen to be in the beauty industry.
Mm.
And if we accept that, we need to implement a design that maximizes it around the emotions of the consumer, accommodating the functionality of service.
Okay.
The existential challenge facing most salons is how to command disproportional levels of attention. And you know, people, we just need to look at the quality of your business and life is in direct proportion to the amount of risk and uncertainty you can comfortably live with.
I want to unpack inherent, there's two inherent possibilities that are coming out of this in terms of space. One is a space that's devoted to consumption, whether it's coffee, champagne, or, you know, snack bars. So within the salon space, you have something that is, you know, edible and, you know, not the other kind of edible that people might think about. It's some consumable. And then second category is creating more like a boutique in there. So instead of just having like professional beauty products, there is jewelry, there's stationery, there's other things. And I've seen both. And in many cases, I've seen people try both of those and then unwind out of it. So for example, opening up like a mini restaurant opens up another can of worms as it relates to inspections, licensing, staffing, and is it really return on investment? Because I've seen a lot do that and then close them.
Right. So
And then let me get to my other question. We'll unpack.
Yeah.
So first we'll talk about like champagne, coffee, food. And then second, we'll talk about boutique. Boutique, the image I have is there's actually a local business that has a huge clothing boutique within their business. And it just seems to, I'm super skeptical that
so am
that
I.
could, yeah, and clothing. But so anyway, take them away. Let's deal with them
Okay,
one
so
by one. First, deal with
yeah.
food, yep,
So
etc.
let me just kind of align it to actually run a coffee shop, to run a wine bar. What do we know about doing that? As you said, it takes, but the only way it works is to create a concession within that business. So, for example, we did one in Grand Cayman where they had space, and the wine bar in that town was offered an opportunity to run it from that salon. So when you're doing that, you take the risk factor away. You take that, so you don't pay for the equipment. You get an income from square footage and possibly sales.
You partner with someone, somebody else
It's
does
a
it.
collaboration between someone who's already got a license and gets an extension of the license within your business. So that just brings more people in. But you don't run a wine bar and champagne bar yourself. It's run within your business by somebody else. It's a collaboration.
That to me makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense that, you know, most salon owners have enough on their plate with color, cuts, retail, and then potentially some other services, whether it's, you know, spa, aesthetics, whatever. And one more business unit under their roof might, you know, put them over the edge. So aligning with an expert makes a ton of sense. Let's talk about like a boutique then.
Right. So I would steer away from clothing because it's seasonal.
Yeah.
The thing about shampoo is it's not seasonal.
Yeah, I think the clothing example, I think, was an outlier. Don't see as much of that.
Yeah, it's a seasonal thing. And then if you don't sell it, then you've got that stock. And if you did do clothing, make sure again, it's a concession where you've not got the risk factor in doing so. But, you know, clothing is difficult.
So what's not difficult in a boutique, you know, and keep in mind that in many cases, this means that the salon owner is going to have to take on some more inventory, with the question whether inventory will even move. Are you a proponent of also outsourcing the boutique to someone else, let someone else run the boutique, let them
Absolutely.
do the buying and all of that?
I'll give you a case, in fact. Trotters in London is a famous barbershop, and they have 45% of their sales are retail. But they sell Mont Blanc pens, they sell shaving brushes, they sell belts, they sell ties, they sell all kind of things. So people stay and they shop longer. And it's collaborative to a barber shop. So with retail sales, the goal is to have a business within a business. So you have two businesses under one umbrella from a design point of view, under the ultimate consumer experience. It's not, you shouldn't run retail from a service business. It should be a business and run as a business with the same best practices as successful retailers and marketers outside the industry. And that's the only way you maximize that business, not just run on your existing clientele. It's to bring people in.
Yeah, there's a multiple year decline in retail sales in salons. And a lot of salon owners are trying to proactively deal with that. And it was a big conversation at 2 to 10, in fact. And for our audience coming up, just want to let you know, another spoiler alert. We're going to actually have data through a very, very unique partnership. We're going to have data right after the first of the year that gives you very tangible trends on retail, service, average ticket, client count. So stay tuned, everybody, because data I really haven't seen in a long time. It's hot off the press. What is it? I mean, what is happening with retail month by month? Last year, I've already looked at a glance of the data. We want to get to the end of the year, so we're going to be able to, yes, Christine, I can't wait for it either. We're going to be giving you some new trend information. Leon, I'm looking at the clock. This was supposed to be a super short session today, kind of holiday. I didn't want to take up too much of people's time. We could talk all day about this stuff, couldn't we?
We could. I think the only last thing I want to share, and it's very important to the industry, is the report that I read a few months ago by Deloitte. They are predicting industries that will have a decline in people entering, which means from a design point of view and from a business point of view, we think we have to think of alternative ways of making income. The restaurant business will have a decline in people being in restaurant. The retail industry will have a decline in people retailing, and the beauty industry. We've noticed a decline in people coming in since the millennium. Over the next 5 years, you're going to have less people entering our industry. What that means to us is we have to think from a design point of view, from a salon point of view, how do we design it for more consumer-centric and profit-centric business? How do we design it to help supplement additional income for that salon? That's going to be fundamentally key.
I'm going to be unpacking part of what you just said in future episodes. And yes, a decline coming into these industries. There's some counter trends, though, that might change that. A huge trend towards people looking at non-4-year degrees, a resurgence in career colleges, the trades. So especially because the beauty industry is one of the last human-centered licensed to touch industries. So I think there could be a counter trend. And this isn't me just being a perennial optimist here, but anyway, listen, I want to be disciplined in time here. Leon, thank you for joining us today.
You're welcome.
And let's everybody give Leon a virtual round of applause. Give him a little shout out in the chat. Leon, you're going to get a second $1 million light bulb.
Thank you.
And you're also welcome to join us at a celebration of light bulb moments in Austin, Texas, on May 19th. I keep mixing this 18th, 19th, but we're going to celebrate all of our guests, and we'd love to have you there. So bravo to you. Great suggestion. One of my favorite times with you was today. And Susan is weighing in here. Great content, Tom and Leon. Absolutely. So let's do this. I'm going to have an opportunity. We'll probably cut the video off and the podcast off at this point, but I'm going to say some shout outs to a few people that joined us today before end of the holiday year. Leon, you're welcome to stick around, but we got Ashley and Candace and Cheyenne and Christine and Connie. These are some great people. Deborah, Heather, Holly, Joe and Karen. Hello. Hello, Carla, Kelly, Con. Lisa, good to see you again, Lisa and Mark. Good morning, Melissa, Randy, Roberto. I'm up in Canada. We have Roman. Good morning, Roman. Susan, thanks for joining us. Hi, Terry and Tracy. And we've had some other people hang up since then, but wishing all of you a very happy holiday season. You too, Ellen, Alexander, also known as Leon Alexander. And we're so pleased for all of you to be in our circle here in Lightbulb Moments, and happy holidays. We're going to be taking next week off, and then right after the first of the year, we're going to jump right back in, and we're going to take Lightbulb Moments to another level next year. So Leon, thanks again. All of you, happy holiday season. Don't be a stranger. This doesn't have to be the last holiday greeting that we have amongst us, but certainly it's one. Thanks also to the Qnity team for making this happen and helping me make sure I remember to invite guests soon enough so that we can get the email out in time. So, all right, Leon, thanks again. Everybody else, take care of yourself and stay in touch. Shoot me a text to say hi. I might do the same thing. Bye, everybody. This is the end of this episode.